Steven, welcome to a special Saturday edition because we are here on Saturday and it's gloomy and it's snowy and it's been a busy week.
It has been a very busy week.
Very
especially
busy. I know it has been very busy. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and welcome to RAWtalk episode number 73, where we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Hopefully not 2 hours worth, because I know Steven spends all Monday, as of right now, trying to get those videos made.
All day Monday.
All day Monday.
Because you have to understand, too, I have photo news, the video, and plus all the articles, which is like 10, 11 articles.
It's pretty amazing my voice is still holding up after those first 3 days of shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all good. So we had those 3 days of shooting. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, oh man, we got a lot of photo news. We have some interesting stories going on in the photo world to talk about, as well as flying solo, which we're going to put a timer on it so that Sutter, Steven over there, can basically keep us moving. So
what are you going to do overtime this time?
Well, it depends on which question it is.
There's no point in doing a timer then.
Whatever question I want to use is whatever or that I want to go into overtime with, I will.
It should be like the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Like you only use like one or two
one
overtimes.
lifeline.
Yeah,
we'll come up with something like that. Before we jump into talking about the video guide shoot and what's going on with that, I got to talk about the Atomos here. I've got the points to talk about, so I am reading them right now. High quality recording straight from the sensor. First off, we use the Atomos. We've been saying that for weeks. It's right there. We can see it from here, red, because it's recording, which is good. That means that we're actually recording the show. Love that we have a monitor on it. Love that it's solid state. Love that we can just connect it from just about any DSLR, even a GoPro, and have it record longer than the 20 minutes or 30 minutes that the Canon does. Let me just hit the points that they wanted me to hit.
And what we do, just speaking of the monitor, we flip it around facing toward us, so it's nice to see that it's running and we can basically see everything about it. So
exactly. That makes it a lot easier. High quality recording straight from the sensor of the camera, bypassing all internal compression. Capturing in iframes versus MPEG always allows the customer to capture high quality recording over what the cameras can do internally and do more color correction in post-production. Save time, no transcoding. Record directly to the editing codec, ProRes and Avid, which is what we do, which does save some time. Record to less expensive media than compact flash cards. Yeah, I guess so. If you get the solid, not the solid state, but if you get the 2.5-inch hard drives, you just pop those things in there. You can get terabytes of those for almost nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
Really inexpensive.
Compared to CF cards, yeah.
Yeah, like they said here, get past the 20-minute times for recording. Triggers from the time code of the 5D Mark III. That's for people shooting with multiple Mark IIIs.
That's great.
Yeah. That you know more about, and works with cameras like GoPro, Canon 5D Mark III, Sony A99, Sony A7, A7R, which are all those new ones, Sony RX10, Nikon D800, 600, 610, D4, D710, D5200, D3200, and I'm assuming all the newer cameras as well as the Panasonics. And then the last thing is Ninja 2 has focus assist so that users can set up shots using a monitor, focus peaking, zebra, false colors, and blue only, whatever that means.
It's nice that it has that many cameras that it can work with. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the GoPro, I mean, it's pretty amazing to think that you can do the GoPro.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's their plug.
Nice.
They got it. We use it. We still love it. And it's just pointing out all these points, lets people know the options they can have. It is action-packed. It is full of a lot of specifications and features that are good for people moving into the video world. So speaking of video world, Steven, you were here for what, 1 day of the shoot that we did, or two?
2 days.
You were 2. Sutbud over there was here for 3 of the days. He got to go run and get lunch and stuff.
Because I was editing RAWtalk all day Monday, so I couldn't make it.
Well, that's part of it. So what do you think so far?
I thought it was great. I mean, I watched, I love the cinematic shots that they're getting with using a jib and using dollies and sliders and everything you can think of pretty much. So that's what's nice about it. And it's interesting to see the behind-the-scenes factor of what goes into making such a production like this.
Oh, yeah. And what we're recording is we're doing some behind-the-scenes stuff so that you guys can see what's going to go on. We're going to lead up to the release of it. Steven's been recording those, some parody behind-the-scenes stuff. We're going to have some real behind-the-scenes stuff, still images, which Steven's been doing. That way you can see what goes on really behind the scenes. There's some stuff. Oh, my place was, I mean, you can't tell right now, but the place is totally cleaned up. But the other day, we had 8 crew people.
It was bad.
Well, we had 8 total people here, including you and Steven over there. We've got 2 camera guys, GoPro that runs. So we're shooting with 2 DSLRs and a GoPro. They've got jibs and sliders and follow focuses and monitors. And we've got interns or just assistants and people that do. We got the audio guy, because you can't forget the audio guy. It's fun. I mean, Todd and I are crushing it so far. We have got different styles, because I'm used to be in front of the camera, and we do multiple takes to get it to where we need it to be. And Todd's editing ability is tremendous, as we've seen in the first 2 guys.
So does he edit it?
Yeah, not only is
He's
he
the actual
in it,
editor.
oh,
Wow.
he's the editor, which is great. When you can have a director/editor, they know what they're going. So
that's great.
we don't move on until we have what we need, because he knows exactly what we need.
Exactly.
And what I have to say is so much better about this guide than the first two that I did was that we have an actual outline to go by. Being that Todd is in it, he knows how to set up proper outlines. We have the outlines. We just go down the list and we shoot. I pretty much show up for the take. I roll out of bed. The funny thing is we start at 8:30 in the morning and we go to around 8 at night on the shoot
All
days.
day.
They call me. Todd calls me around 8:15 when he gets here a little early. I'm still in bed. I come down, let him in. Then I get ready. Then the crew shows up. Then they start setting up the first shot, and then we get to town and just start working.
I'm sure it takes a little while to set up the first shot, right? With just the different camera angles and
A little bit, yeah, and we do multiple takes so that they can get different angles of each shot, so that it gives Todd enough stuff to cut to. So I mean, it's really done in such a way that if you've never shot video, or if you've done just a little bit of video, this is going to give people the insight to be able to be a one-man band and do everything they need on their own to make corporate videos, to know how to do the audio and the lighting and the sliders and all of this stuff. We're going over everything so that a one-man band can do it.
Well, to be honest, it's refreshing my own skills by watching just all the stuff going on the past couple of days. And when I took film class, a few film classes in college, everything you guys are talking about, it's bringing back all those memories of what I learned back in the day.
See, that's really good to hear, because knowing that somebody who took a film class, knowing that we're hitting those things.
You're exactly hitting those points. But it's
that's
almost like
awesome.
you're making it more easy to understand, at least the way you guys are teaching it.
See, that's great to hear, because that's what I think there's some questions coming up in Flying Solo, or one question about schooling versus online schooling versus just finding free stuff. But hearing you talk about it being like, or that it's refreshing you is great, because that means that we're doing the right thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I always worry about everything that I do,
Yeah,
that
you
I
do.
create. I'm like,
Everything.
is this going to be good? Are we hitting the right information? Because the one thing that I want to be careful about, and I talked to Todd about this, and I'm not afraid to just be open and honest with everybody, is that I know that there's going to be people who are going to buy this that understand DSLR photography. They understand the exposure triangle, and there may be some basic things that we talk about, like the like what aperture controls and shutter speed. But people have to remember that it's kind of different.
It's way different with video.
For video.
Oh, yeah.
So where you think that you may know some of these basics, I suggest to some people that you may skip past some of the stuff in the very beginning of the guide, because some of it may seem a little basic and redundant if you already had a DSLR. But part of what the guide is for people that may never have shot with a DSLR in general. So it's going to go both ways. I guarantee that when we get it out when people see the actual photo shoots, that's where the major learning is going to happen, because we're going to be out on location doing these actual shoots and just talking about what we're doing and showing it. That's where you're going to learn the basics.
And you even touch on lighting and all that stuff too, right?
Oh yeah, we do lighting. We have audio. We've got the sliders.
Audio is great too, yeah.
And we're not just talking about using professional end gear.
You go from everything from...
We got a $35 plug-in microphone for a lav.
And same with follow focuses. I think we
we used your $5 follow focus, and it worked. But anyway, if you guys would like to do it, what I'm going to end up doing is having a sign-up list just for this guide. If you're to go along, so you can sign up to be notified when it comes out, or be the first to know about it, or be selected as one of the couple people who are going to get to preview it. It's because I like to share it with actual readers to do the preview, so that we can get testimonials and get feedback to know if we're on the right path. It's what I did with the beginner guide. That's what I did with the flash guide, and that's what we'll do here.
Yeah.
So basically, we're filming on Saturday because we shot Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday was a snow day. We had a foot of snow.
Yeah, foot of snow again.
Right. So we had to cancel the shoot that day, and we'll pick it up next week. But next week is 5 full days of shooting.
Yeah,
it's
that's gonna be
insane.
fun.
I mean, it's a long thing. I mean, we start at 8:30 in the morning and don't finish the last shot till around 8 or so.
So how have you been after lunch? You've been crashing?
I've been great. No,
Yeah.
I've been better than everybody else.
Nice.
Because I've been eating major lunches.
Yeah.
But here's the key, and this is, I guess, a quick tip for people in food eating. I don't eat sandwiches. That's a lot of carbs. And carbs are not protein. And that will bring you down after
love your
lunch.
protein.
Well, I like my protein. So we did a sushi run one day where we got everybody lunch specials. Then they did a sandwich run, which I'm not a sandwich fan because of the carbs, but I just don't like sandwiches in general. But I order a big lunch. I want to eat well. So I got a bunch of chicken, eat it up, and I'm ready to go after lunch. I actually crashed before lunch the other day because I didn't eat very much.
Yeah.
But
well, the one day I think you weren't feeling too well, right?
dude, I woke up and I felt horrible, and then I drank 2 cups of tea. I was like, Steven, tea me. So he got me the tea. he needs to learn how to make tea, but he still made me the tea, and I woke right up. I don't know. It must be that caffeine thing. So anyway, we should probably get moving on.
Sounds good.
The video's going well. Let's get into photo news, Stephen.
Photo news. We got a bunch of stories this week, really in-depth stories, so it might take a little bit to go through these, but they're interesting. Though.
I know. I'm just looking. Sutter's just sitting over there, all quiet. Sutter, how you doing?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm hanging in there. You have a good week?
Yeah.
Did you? I should have thrown it to him for a second. Did you enjoy working on the photo shoot?
Yeah, it was awesome. Shooting the behind-the-scenes stuff's really fun, and it's cool to see the behind-the-scenes of the actual filming of the video guide itself.
And you've been using your glide cam, right?
Yeah, I've been just running through set.
That thing's so smooth.
Yeah, it's fun. It's cool. It's different.
I think we should get one, man.
Yeah, well,
I got to check out the footage and see how it comes out in the end. But
well, like I was saying, for when we're doing run and gun shoots out on the street, I don't think that the glide cam is the right option because you can't zoom, you can't touch it for focus. Really, you really can't do very much.
That's the only thing. It's not as good as you need more two hands just to operate.
Absolutely.
So that's the only thing.
Yep.
But first up for photo news, we have a new Lightroom plugin called Lightroom Analytics that analyzes the metadata in your libraries for certain trends and basically visualizes it for you. It collects various data, more basic than advanced, like ISO, aperture, shutter speed settings, and then puts them into pie charts, bar graphs, all kinds of stuff to, again, visualize it for you, showcasing how often you're at that certain setting or using that certain effect when you're developing your raw photos. It even gets really specific and shows your data on particular lenses, so you can see, again, like what millimeter you shoot at the most, what ISO you're at the most. It even shows you like if you're underexposed or overexposed most of the time. It pretty much just takes all your info and just puts it into these giant charts. It even showcases Lightroom adjustments and how often you use them, like saturation, color temperature, exposure, highlights, etc. The results are exported into a standard CSV spreadsheet, but if you don't have a spreadsheet app, the new plugin also supplies a viewer of their own as well, so you can just watch. You can check it out right on your browser. Yeah, I believe it's free. They will let you improve your settings, editing, and it's just a cool thing to check out. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm actually going to download it myself and see what settings I use the most when I'm shooting. Next up, we have Sports Illustrated. They replaced their normal supermodel on their cover of this year's swimsuit edition with Barbie. What was that?
Well, it sounded like a plastic
Something
bottle.
just fell.
I thought it was keys.
Was it keys?
Someone going into their, place.
I don't know. Could be. Anyway, Sports Illustrated, they again replaced their normal supermodel of the cover of this year's swimsuit edition with Barbie. The photographer, Walter Ayus, I think that's how you pronounce it, he even released a parody-like behind-the-scenes video showcasing how he did the shoot. Some quotes from the video they used were like, she's a perfect model, she doesn't blink, she doesn't move, she knows how to work the light, obviously talking about Barbie. When she strikes a pose, she holds it forever. It's just kind of talking about like how they photographed Barbie, and then they also said like they got all these Barbies together, and they're like, I'm surprised none of them freaked out and were like have any cat fights or anything like that. They were all perfect. They're all supermodels. Blah blah blah.
Did they say why they're doing Barbie and not an actual model?
I forget why they said it, but yeah, I don't know. I think it was something to do with like I want to say like 50th anniversary or something, but I could be totally wrong about that.
The photo looks fantastic.
It does look good, but how hard would it be to shoot a Barbie?
Well, it's the lighting and the setting. I mean, the set and everything is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's funny definitely interesting
to see with the behind the scenes video too, because there's probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 people on set with this, and I feel like this could be like a 1 or 2 person shoot. But they just kind of overdid it.
You always have to have more.
Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated.
Yeah. I think he was shooting with a Canon 1DX too, for those that care. Moving on, Facebook is encouraging brides to not have 1 or 2 professional wedding photographers, but rather 100 friends and family snapping pictures all around the venue while they're getting married.
Your light's still on over there?
Yep.
Just making sure.
The social media giant posted a video which features a montage of images shot from multiple attendees, again, friends or family. However, the shots that were featured clearly were taken with decent equipment and probably were experienced photographers, since they were, flashes that were bounced. They had good shallow depth of field shots. They had good composition. So really, they tried to play it off like they were friends and families and average people taking these photos. But in reality, they definitely had professional photographers take this.
What's the point they're trying to make?
They're basically trying to say that why get one wedding photographer when you can just have all your friends upload the pictures into like photo galleries on Facebook?
Yeah, because that definitely worked back in the day when I don't want to have a photographer, but I will put all I'll put disposable cameras out on every table.
Dude, terrible.
And then they turn them, because you worked at CVS.
I worked,
so
yeah.
You probably saw people do that.
And people always came up to me.
Wait. Okay, go ahead.
They would drop off like 30 rolls of film, and I'm like, wedding? And they're like, yep. So I would develop them, and they're always these really, really crappy disposable cameras that basically these like foreign companies would just reuse and rehash. Like even the film canisters, you can tell were clearly already used and then black taped up and re-put into the cameras. So they had really crappy film. But basically whenever I would finally see the pictures and print them out, they just look so bad. Maybe like a quarter of them would actually show up.
It's like, here's a bunch of people getting drunk at a party, and here's my balls, you know? It's like, hey, I just went into the bathroom. Woo! They're not good photos. I don't know who came up with the idea of putting out 10 cameras on 10 different tables and thinking that people are going to actually do something fun with those cameras or get quality images. So for Facebook is just doing whatever they want. You know, that's marketing. They want to just tell people to upload multiple images and have people do this because they're trying to make a play. But to say that you want to replace people, wedding photographer, you're not going to replace wedding photographers with guests.
No,
and I really think that I've seen this. I don't know if it's pretentious of a bride or groom to put out on the email or whatever to leave your cameras at home. Please don't take any pictures at our... That's almost like a band saying, don't take any photos during our show, right?
I wonder if... Yeah, See, it is. I wonder if I would do that or not.
I've heard people do that. Please, where the
not a bad idea.
Well, the officiant's like, please don't take any pictures during the ceremony because you're going to get in the way of the photographer. Now, that may be one thing, but that's just... I think maybe it's such a tough call. But yes, if you have a professional photographer at the wedding and it's you always get those people that stand up and get in the way.
Oh yeah.
And walk down the aisle.
Terrible.
And try to take their shitty photos. And I don't have a problem with people taking photos, but there's always that one or two people.
As long as they stay in their seats and don't get in the way.
Stay in your seats, but turn the flash off. Because if I can't use the flash, you can't use the flash. But there's always those one or two people that have a DSLR that are interested in photography that try to copy every single shot that you do and
They're
they hang out.
behind you.
And when I'm working, I'm not there to teach. So as much as I want to answer your questions, like it's the website and all, I'm here to do a job. And I really, really need you to back off and just let me shoot and stop getting over my shoulder when I'm trying to get these photos.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to be a dick, but this is a job for me.
That's totally understandable. I think that's what I would do too.
So it's interesting. You're not going to replace your wedding photographers with your friends, unless your friends so happen to all be wedding photographers. And in that case, they don't want to go to a wedding and shoot it because they're there to attend.
Exactly. That's like me with my family and you as well. Like if you're attending your family's wedding, which I just did my brother's in New Orleans, I didn't bring my camera. I don't want to shoot. I want to actually pay attention and
enjoy the event.
Yeah. But speaking of this story, now one wedding photographer actually fired back with a parody video of his own, basically showcasing what it would actually look like if regular attendees took photos, and it showcased like just terrible underexposed pictures, real bad composition, blurry, out of focus shots. I mean, that's realistically what it would be like if you had no professional wedding photographer and you had your friends and family take all the pictures for you.
Yep.
So it's just funny to check out. That's all on the website. You can see that. Moving on, this is really cool. Sigma brought you inside their lens factory in Aizu, Japan, I want to say, in a new behind-the-scenes video. The film is very cinematic, first of all, and it really showcases how...
what lenses did they use to shoot it with?
They didn't say, or at least I didn't see
Wouldn't
that
that be funny to grab the metadata and it'd be like
Canon
85-1.2,
Yeah.
50-1.2.
It would be funny. But it really showcases how precise they are at making their lenses. They have like these clean suits on, all white suits, gloves, all that kind of stuff.
It's called marketing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they cheated a little bit. This isn't the first video they released about the factory, though. It's more like a sequel to the original behind-the-scenes lens factory video that they unveiled first at Photokina in 2012. Everything from the craftsmanship and human touch to fine-tuned machines are featured in the video. And here's what they have to say about it via the video's description. In quote, our products are somehow imbued with the essence of our homeland, blessed as it is with clean air and water and focused, hardworking people. To pursue optimal quality, the vast majority of Sigma's manufacturing, right down to molds and parts, is carried out under an integrated self-manufacturing production system within the company. So this is the type of stuff I like to see from companies, where my money actually goes. It's just nice to see that Sigma is really caring about this kind of stuff.
I'm going to go off on something for a second.
And from a nerd perspective,
I love seeing the behind-the-scenes stuff,
Yeah.
but here's the thing. Putting out one video every 6 months isn't going to do anything. And I was picking up jeans for the photo shoot, right?
You love those jeans.
Well, what are they? They're my Sebastian McCalls. Hold on.
you gonna model them for us? Oh God.
My butt looks really good in these, though. Anyway, these are Sebastian McCall jeans, and he hooked us up. Anyway, Todd and I. Todd's done video shoots. He did all the commercials for him, but Todd was buying T-shirts for the video shoot, and Sebastian's like, well, do you want some jeans for the shoot? And we're like, okay. So anyway, we got fitted for them, but I was over there talking about videos, and he's like, I want to make this epic video of something, and that's putting all your eggs in one basket. If you want to make one video in this day and age to promote your brand, it's kind of like a waste of time.
Well, it's forgotten about after like a week.
After a week, it's gone. So I said, instead of shooting one video that's epic and amazing, that's like a document, like a film, come up with 30 questions, right? And make 10 videos with 3 questions each, and you answer them. And then make this type of video, and just easily... For anybody out there, I talk about this with marketing and making videos. When you're making your own, I'm losing it. I think it's
no.
been a long
I understand
week.
what you're saying.
Easily consumable content is where it's at. Yes, RAWtalks tend to be an hour to an hour and a half. But
it's the one thing
it's the one thing that we do that is long form content, except for when I do other long form content. But there are short, quick tips. There are, like when I first started out, we know that I made 4-minute videos, and there's still the 2 to 3 minute videos that work very well.
They're about
and
that,
under 10 minutes. But short, easily consumable content that you can do, like Sigma. If they made 100 videos at once and just rolled them out every other day for a year, that'd be great. Just because you get it breeds so much awareness for your product.
Well, and we'd be talking about them more if they did that, obviously, on Photo News.
But no, I know. But even like you look at something like Digital Rev TV with Kai Wong, that is a camera store. How have they've done it so well? They have 800,000 subscribers on YouTube. But it's a camera store who knows how to make content about a lot of stuff, and they keep putting it out time and time again, and people talk about it and they eat it up. So that is what businesses need to do.
Yeah, and they get great guests, and Kai Wong himself is funny.
Exactly.
He really does it. He pulls it off very well.
Yep.
We have a pair of Russian photographers. They sneaked up the world's second tallest building, which is still under construction. It's the Shanghai Tower, to take some really breathtaking photos. They even released a whole point of view GoPro shot video, which I think they attached to their head, which features their journey all the way up to the top. Now remember, there's no elevators since it's still under construction, so this took them forever. I think they said it took about 2 hours to climb the 120-story building. The crazy part is that when they got to the top, where I think the spire is still getting put into place, they then walked up a crane to the tallest point of the structure, which is 2,133 feet high, with no ropes, no safety equipment, nothing. Really dumb, but awesome for us to watch.
I just get, I'm not afraid of heights, but how can you not be freaked out by that?
I would be petrified.
It's just insane to see what they did,
especially when you're not tied in. But these are just definitely must-see photos. The only part that sucks is that it seems to be like a gloomy, foggy day, which apparently is every
Smog.
day. Yeah.
Pollution.
But watching this video, I mean, I was like almost like shaking for them, like not to fall, which obviously they didn't.
Yep.
But yeah, just it's not the smartest thing to do that, so I wouldn't recommend doing that.
Nope.
But they also got some really cool pictures out of it. And footage. Now, speaking of GoPro, the company looks to be going public. They filed for a confidential IPO. The IPO is expected to raise the value of the brand well into the billions. I think they were expected to make $1 billion this year alone.
Do you know what's funny?
What?
Snapchat gets offered $3 billion by Facebook and has zero revenue.
Yep.
A company like GoPro has a ton of money because they've been making a ton of money. Profits are way up year after year. They kept doubling their profits for multiple years in a row. It's just insane. So anyway, they've got this IPO coming.
Yeah, they're just waiting on the SEC to finalize the review, and then it'll go public.
Do you know what's insane about public offerings, IPOs?
I don't know much about it. I know you're into it.
You want to know what?
What?
It's a joke. If you don't have a shit ton of money and you don't have an inside track to get the IPO, so Twitter comes out, Twitter's IPO is $26, right? So they know that the initial public offering was going to be $26. So I was to my broker guy, I was like, if you can get in at 26, do it. So of course they call me and go, we can't get in at 26 because I don't have like $1 million sitting in an account and get preferred stock to be able to get the first go at it.
Oh, is that how it works?
So what happens is all the bankers and the banks get to buy up at $26.
All the rich dudes in the beginning.
All the rich people get richer,
which makes no sense.
They get 20. They can buy in at 26. The thing shot up to over 50 or so. Like 57 the first day. I think it when the bell rang finally on Twitter's IPO, it shot up. It was $45 when the public could get into it. So basically, they get in at 26. They can sell it when it went over like 70 for a minute, and then I think it's in the 60s right now. It's just the stock market to me is a big joke. It's a bunch of insider traders because if you're rich, you have the money in the world, you're going to make a lot more money. And sure, that sounds like sour grapes, because if I had it and I was in it and I was getting those offerings, I'd be all for it too, because you're a part of it. But the stock market is just, it's so insane.
Well, it's like, if like you said, if you're rich, you make the money. If you're poor, or
you can't ever
just
get to
an average person, or even pretty well put, you're still not going to make really anything. You're going to lose money, if anything.
Well, the only thing that everybody in the world should have done is bought Facebook when it dropped to $18.
Yeah.
I wish I put like 10 grand into it.
Evened out, didn't it?
Evened out?
Yeah, or
it
something.
doubled in one day.
Did it really?
It was at 18, it went to 36, and now it's over 50.
Wow.
I think it's like 57 right now.
It's just been steady since.
Well, they actually they actually make money, where Twitter doesn't have any revenue.
That's
another
true.
Non-revenue bearing company.
No, you can do the suggested post, I thought, too, in Twitter.
Yeah, but
it's still, I'm sure they're still making
have you
revenue.
seen suggested posts?
Yeah, but they don't usually relate to what I'm talking about as much as Facebook does.
I don't even see them.
Yeah, I see them every now and then. Instagram, though, I only seen those 2 or 3 ads.
They haven't done anything in Instagram. It must either not work, or they don't know how to make it work.
Which I'm surprised, because I really liked the idea at first. Well, actually, I hated it at first, but then after I saw it,
after we
I really
saw those
liked
Ben
it.
and Jerry ones, I followed it, but Ben and Jerry's hasn't really stuck with it to keep people interested. If you gain all these followers from doing proper advertising, then you better be able to follow it up with awesome shots and interaction. It's business and marketing, for God's sake. All right, let's move on.
Moving on, we have Panasonic has officially revealed the long-rumored GH4, which is a Micro Four Thirds mirrorless camera, and it shoots 4K video. That's the mind-blowing part. It'll shoot 4K video at 24 frames per second, which allow these cameras that claim 4K, they shoot at like 10 frames or something. And it has 100 megabyte per second data rate, which is insane for a camera this small. Like, I think, for example, modern DSLRs shoot at like 30 megabytes per second, around that at least. So 100 is crazy, but I guess for shooting 4K, you need something that big. It also sports an all-new 16 megapixel CMOS Micro Four Thirds sensor, a quad-core CPU, an ISO range of 200 to 25,600, shoots at 12 frames per second, and SDXC UH3 Class 3 compatibility, the new one that just came out. So this camera is kind of a beast. It's a beast, but what's it, $2,000? They didn't announce the official price yet. They said that it's going to be under $2,000, though. Right, which is insane. Mm-hmm. Yes, smaller sensors are going to get 4K quicker because it's the data. It's a ton of data. It's smaller, yeah.
So full frame cameras have a harder time being able to keep up with that data as of right now. You're going to have your 2K. You're going to have your 4K. You're going to have your 8K someday coming out. The Epics, the Red Epics, do 5K, I believe, in Red RAW. So obviously, those are a hell of a lot more expensive. Nothing under $2,000. Yeah. So it's an interesting option to have. I don't know that video people are going to jump on it. The rig that they built, has got this big ass bottom thing. If the point is to make a small camera, which is a lot of what the Micro Four Thirds was all about, they sort of failed at doing that by adding that XLR input thing on the bottom and all of the extra rig things. So just make a box, At this point, just make a box with a sensor.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the Blackmagic thing is. It's a box with a sensor. You put lenses on it, and you control it.
The Reds, the Blackmagics, it's just a big brain that has everything in there that you need.
Right.
Now, like you were saying, the separate box or whatever is, they announced the new interface, that unit that goes with the camera. It's a separate add-on. It has like 2 XLR inputs, a couple other HDMI out, timecode in, a few other different options, but you have to buy it separately. I don't know how much it's going to cost either.
Yeah, you're putting together a whole rig. I don't know. I've never used one of these Panasonic cameras. I'm sure that the quality will be very good. Panasonic has been in the video game for an extremely long time professionally. It's will people purchase a Micro Four Thirds camera over something else?
Yeah.
Canon will come out with cameras. Nikon will come out with cameras. Obviously, Canons are going to be... And Sony. Can't forget those guys. They're all doing it. Sony has the Super 35... Or so does Canon, but
at the same time, the Canon Cine lenses and stuff, and those cameras, they're also $15,000, $10,000
right.
around that price.
So it's an amazing feat for them to get something under $2,000 that's going to shoot the 4K.
Yeah.
But is it a still camera? Is it a video camera? Or is it a little bit of both?
It looks like it's a little bit of both. Now, I will say, when I saw GH3, the sample footage a couple months ago, or maybe like a year ago, there was a comparison video that showcased like Blackmagic footage, 5D Mark III footage, and GH3, and the GH3 was actually the sharpest looking, best quality image that I saw out of all three, at least in my opinion.
Sure.
So the GH4, who knows? A lot of people might settle for this than buying something nice and expensive. Now, there is sample footage online if you guys want to check it out. There's also a couple other videos that kind of showcase all the things the camera does, basically. We have, next up, what's a week of photo news without the new Kickstarter campaign? So this time around, a new keyboard called the The Shortcut S is featured in a new Kickstarter, which is a huge 319 key keyboard that is designed to work specifically with Photoshop. It features 299 predetermined keys in combination with 20 customizable keys, which is pretty nice. Their main selling point is that it's one-hand operation, so you can keep one hand on the mouse and only one on the key.
Sounds like what you do when you're watching porn. It's one-hand operation. That would be perfect for porn. You set the thing up and it's like, oh, this key Pornhub, this key YouPorn, this key whatever other. Steven, what porn sites do you look? I'm just messing with you. He's not. I don't look at porn. Look, if you've got a computer, I think one of the first things I did when I got my when I got AOL was discover like attempting to find porn. I mean, how can you not? Isn't that what the world was all about? That's what the internet's all about.
That is what the internet's all about.
I mean, we met Ron Jeremy, for God's sake.
We did. That was pretty awesome.
Anyway, I just woke up. So I woke up with that discussion. But no, really, one-handed. So you have one hand on a mouse and one hand on a keyboard.
Yes, basically.
All right, keep going.
Now, they transformed 4 keystrokes.
Wait. I want to get back to hashtagging things. Hashtag one-hand keyboard, one hand on my keyboard.
One-hand action.
One-hand keystrokes.
One-hand keystrokes, that works. Hashtag one-hand keystrokes out there on Twitter and on Facebook.
So they transformed, 4 keystrokes, like, Control Alt X or whatever you would be doing, into a single one key operation, which is really nice.
That's great.
Adam Lerner will obviously love this. He's all about the shortcuts and all that stuff. Apparently, they're in the works to develop even more program-specific keyboards for software as well, like Lightroom, Final Cut, Premiere Pro.
Sure.
Which I would love to have for Lightroom specifically, even Premiere Pro.
There are keyboards specifically that do that. You can get skins for it. So how much are they looking for?
Now, I think you can donate anything as far as that. I actually didn't see the specific amount for individual donations, but they've only raised $22,000 at the time of this recording with a goal of $185,280, which is insane. But there's still about 6 weeks to go, so we'll see if it actually makes it. It's a massive goal.
How much is it to buy one keyboard?
I know. I didn't actually look that part up.
That's the important information there.
Actually put that in here.
Yeah, you should have put that in there. Anyway, you can check it out over on the website. I have the laptop today. But
laptop.
Yeah, whatever it is, $180,000. We know on Kickstarter
doesn't work.
When it gets really, unless it's the most amazing thing in the world that everybody's going to buy, you got to shoot with a lower number for the hopes that you blow it out of the water.
Yeah.
Because then if people see a large number, they're going to be like, this is never getting funded. I'm not even going to waste my time. Anyway, what's next?
But I'll add what you actually need to fund, what you need to contribute to actually get a keyboard to the actual news article, so you guys can check that out. Next up, a fairly new website called inmybag.net showcases just that, what's in photographers' bags. It's a free website that lets you feature all your gear. Here's what they say about contributing. In quotes, submissions are open to anyone with an enthusiasm for photography, professional or amateur, and we have categories for DSLR, lighting, mirrorless, film, video, like vintage GoPro, phone-based photography, and those with minimalist kit.
They did email me. I just haven't gotten a chance. Well, they emailed me when we were filming. They asked if they could showcase my stuff.
Nice. Maybe, are you going to do it?
I want to look at the site first. There's no reason why I shouldn't.
Yeah.
And feature some of my videos. They might as well and link back, but... Yeah, I don't have a problem showing it because people know the gear I already have.
Well, and it's just great for self-promotion, bragging rights, any of the above you can...
Sure.
For anyone. So now it also, I think when you submit for it, it's featured on the main website. It's not like a separate profile or anything like...
Right. It's just out in the public. It's like you said Tumblr.
It's kind of like a Tumblr setup style page,
so
it seems like.
Cycle through and see people's
Yeah, the only thing I'd be worried about is, like just thieves in general, like checking out, this guy's got, $30,000 worth of gear. Let's check out where he lives and steal it all.
Well, that's another thing. If you're going to take a picture, make sure the metadata isn't in the photo that you're uploading, because somebody can just sit there and find your name, especially if they tag you and they go to your Facebook page and then they go ahead and they they can find you.
Yeah, don't have geotagging enabled in your metadata, and make sure you erase all that crap before you upload it, because that will not be good. And then we have a couple more stories. This one's interesting. A wedding photographer posted a Craigslist ad asking to buy wedding photos, not his, to use on his official website, which is a wedding photography website. The post says, in quotes, "I'm a new wedding photographer and I'm looking to purchase the copyright to some good wedding photography to add to my own website. I already shot a few weddings, but I want to add some more images to my website. Do not email me if you can't prove the images are yours, or if I can't use the images on my site. I will not add my logo to the images, but I also won't accept any logos on the images. They must be clean and well shot. I'm willing to spend anywhere from $75 to $150 if you can offer a good amount. If you can offer a good amount of images and they're nice, thanks. End quote.
Does it have the person's name and location?
It doesn't have the name or any of that stuff.
Do we know that it's real? So before you jump down,
Petapixel posted it.
Well, that doesn't make it real if Petapixel posted it.
I'm just quoting my sources.
No, that's fine. That's what I'm saying is we don't know that somebody just wanting to do something.
Well, it could have been a joke, I'm
like,
sure.
I don't want to sit there and rip on like what we're going to be talking about later. I start to want to know the facts first. Now, if we were to take that as somebody doing that is the worst thing you could ever possibly consider doing. If that is your idea of getting wedding photos, then you're a joke.
I could definitely see someone doing that, though, which
I've
is why
seen
I
it
kind of believe it.
When I used to do photo shows back in the day when we were shooting wedding shows, bridal shows, and there would be the Lindell Studios and the Pros, which are the studios that just hire kids like Sutter over here and pay them $100 to go out and shoot a wedding, and you never know who's showing up at your wedding.
Yeah.
Because they're cheap, they're inexpensive.
Because it's like a package deal.
I saw in multiple portfolios that they had the same images. The same images were in the one companies and the others. So it's like that they just bought stock images for weddings, and that's what they use to sell their goddarn weddings. That's a bunch of crap. So for this person, if it's real, to think that they should do this, one, you're not a photographer. Two, anybody out there, shoot your own freaking work. Don't try to buy somebody else's work to make your work look good. End of story. I don't even think it's worth the time to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, who knows if it's real or not, but if it is, it's just it's a little insane to be doing something like that, especially if you want to take your business seriously. And I think we have one or two more. A really amazing TV spot recreates 6 iconic images in one continuous shot. The UK directing duo US and advertising agency Grey teamed up to pay tribute to the amazing shots, basically. So here's what they have to say about the actual commercial, which you guys should definitely check out. Again, posted on the website. In quotes, "This is all about those iconic cultural images that we pin to our walls and stick in our minds. We all have our favorites, Heisenberg, Kraftwerk, and Banksy's Kissing Coppers, all featured in early scripts.
Heisenberg.
But we wanted to take a snapshot of what's making the headlines in 2014. So Daft Punk winning big at the Grammys, the final series of Mad Men, and Tarantino are all over the media right now. These people and their work have left an indelible mark. I feel like an idiot for not knowing that. And we'll probably still be talking about them in 10, 20, maybe even 100 years. The TV spot is a respectful nod to it all," end quote. And to prove that it was all done in a single shot, too, they even released behind-the-scenes video of how they did it. Really cool stuff. I think they did it in an actual minute and a half, because obviously, again, it was shot continuously. It's something you guys just need to really see to understand, but definitely a must-see for this week.
Got
for
it.
The news, yeah. And then we have last up, I think this is going to be a big discussion between us. You wanted to bring up the story about the color run. Big topic this week that everyone's been talking about.
And so when we cut it, Steven, we're going to go from right here.
Sounds good.
To make it so this is worthy of a separate video. All right, guys. So what's going on is Petapixel, F-Stoppers, a bunch of people have posted a story about a kid, this Max whatever photography, that he was shooting for Color Run, and he's suing Color Run for a lot of money, and the public or the internet jumped down the Color Run's throat. They started posting on Facebook because, okay, I need to back up. Basically what they said is that Color Run took this kid's images without his permission and ended up using it around the world for advertisements without giving the kid the credit that he said that he was owed based on a contract that they had. Now, when that story went public, a lot of people jumped down the throats of Color Run and told them that they're just, I didn't even read the comments because it's not worth reading what people had to say. Now, what I did is I sat back and I read all the articles. I started to read what was going on, what people were saying, what the actual facts were. And I want you people to know out there, stop jumping down in general. Don't jump down people's throats until you know the facts. Jumping on somebody or jumping to conclusions based off of one side of a story is the wrong thing to do until you know what's happening. And we've seen it time and time again where a story comes out, people rip on that person. Then the facts come out and people have to backtrack and be like, oh, I didn't know that. Well, yeah, maybe if you waited until all the facts were out, then you could make an educated judgment. So what we've done here is I have my laptop. I'm going to pop up here and I want to read some of the information to be better educated.
Yeah.
Now, you can find all the stories over on the website. Follow the link below or click the one that's on the screen right now, and that will take you over there to read all the different articles. So let's see. I hope that was an okay intro, Stephen.
Yeah, it was fun.
I'm going to have to move this in front of me.
It's just so much information with this story. It's kind of hard to talk about because
that's true.
There is so much information.
Yeah, I was going to sit here and I was going to attempt to read everything.
It would take probably 20 minutes alone to read all that.
Jeez, there's so much. So where should I start? Basically, this kid, what's his name? His name
Max
is
Johnson?
Max Photography.
Jackson, right? Max Jackson.
Max's Photography, and I think it's Max Jackson. He got a message. His school that he was in college got permission for non-commercial use or something to go out and shoot a color run, which is a 5K run where they throw color chalk at people or whatever it is.
I wouldn't want to shoot to begin with.
No, I wouldn't want to shoot, and I actually wouldn't want to run through it myself.
Yeah.
But they got permission. So then he gets a message, hey, man, hey, my name is so-and-so, and I manage the photography and videography for the color run. I saw that you got some awesome photos from our last race. Would you be interested in letting us use some of your photos in an album on our Facebook page? We'll link back to your work in the album, in the album. Our other photographers have gotten some good exposure from this, so let us know if you're interested. Thanks. First off, I don't think it's great exposure. I mean, yes, it's nice to get put on somebody else's page, but my photos on Matis's page don't really lead people back to me.
To you, yeah.
It just, I don't think that happens. Oh, and he goes, Max's first response, and this is on his, I guess he set this up, the color run sued me.wordpress.com. To put this crap out there, first off, is very childish and immature. You know, first off, doing it this way. Now, I'm not afraid to go to the public for certain things, to call people out when you're in the right. Now, I'm not saying that he's in the right, and I'm not saying that the color run's in the wrong. We'll get to that in a minute. So his response, when the guy asked, he said, of course, I had a great time shooting the event. If you want the high-res versions, I can give you my Flickr because it's the same pictures in better quality. So it goes back and forth, and he ends up uploading the images for them without his watermark.
It's their watermark, I think, right?
Well, without his own personal one, and they asked if it's okay, the color run, if they can put their watermark on his photos. So it all didn't seem to be a problem. So basically, they went back and forth on Facebook, and they downloaded the images, and I'm just scrolling here because there's so much going on here. And he asked them to link to his Facebook page. You can use my maxphotography.com too. It goes to the same place. Oh, wow. I hope his maxphotography.com doesn't target right to Facebook. Perfect. They'll probably be up in the next day or so. Thanks again. This is bad if I'm going to keep reading all this. I don't think I should just sit here and read this stuff.
There's so much.
There's so much going on that you guys have to check this out for yourself, and you have to know the facts. There's both sides of the puzzle here. There's Max's side here saying, basically, he's suing them for $300,000.
But backtrack to what they originally offered him as well.
So let's read the statement from the founder of
let's start there.
of the Color Run. Hi, this is Travis Snyder. I wanted to respond personally to this matter. As the founder of the Color Run, I've had the opportunity to work with many successful creative partnerships of all sizes, including amazing photographers. I respect their ability to capture the essence of our event and fully believe that they deserve the attribution for their work to showcase their talents. We have to backtrack 1 second. Part of the reason a lot of people were ripping on the Color Run and this guy who founded Color Run is he said, I don't care if I have to spend $500,000 to sue you, I will not be extorted.
Yes.
That's me paraphrasing. I don't know if that's the exact quote.
That is pretty much what he said.
But that's pretty much, there you go. The issue with Max is a simple anomaly and quite frankly makes me sad. Max first came to shoot the Color Run because we granted his school class non-commercial access to come shoot the race in Miami, where the photos and questions were taken. After this, Max actually ended up working our events over the next year as a non-photographer and traveling and setting up with our traveling teams. So that said that he was a non-photographer. It's very interesting, the terms that they're using.
So it seemed like he was just like a staff member.
It just means that he may have been a guy who was just going and taking pictures. So
or volunteer.
We don't have the contracts to know what the actual contract said between the two of them, if they even had a contract. About a year later, Max first initiated questions about the use of some of the Miami photos. We sat down and genuinely tried to reach an amicable solution, including offering financial compensation and exposure through our networks. Our efforts were declined and met with the following demands. Language taken from legal followings. $100,000 US deposited into my business bank account. This amount went on to be raised by Max to $300,000. That's asinine.
That's
First
insane.
off, using the words like deposited into my bank account. You know, my $100,000 US deposited into my bank account.
That would be nice.
That's come on.
But I would never ask for that
to
much.
be named the official photographer. To be named the official photography sponsor of the Color Run globally for the remainder of its existence.
Why would you
That's
even
freaking asinine. You're
involved?
trying to get so much money out of them. They, in your opinion, stole your images, and you still want to work with them. Now, you're
asking for all this money, making a bad relationship between the two of you, and now you want to be their official photographer?
Another thing, Max Jackson's logo to be added in sponsors sections on the bottom of all web pages. Well, I can see added to the sponsor section because if you're the photographer, but the bottom of all pages, no. And I think what Max wanted was in the footer, photography by Max Jackson everywhere.
That's
just asking for way too much. You're overvaluing what you've done.
Yeah.
They're photos, they're snaps. They're not the greatest photos in the world, right? So let's keep going. My name to read at the bottom of any TCR's photo used in legible print from the next print run forward as photography by Max Jackson. First off, if you're doing commercial work for anybody, they don't publish your name in an advertisement when it comes to being published. Mm-hmm. Your name just doesn't get printed. That's if it's in a magazine, yes. But when I go and I shoot photos for Modest Yahoo and they get the photos that they paid for because they're paying me
for the copyright,
and then they give those to a magazine to run, the magazine most likely is not going to ask for the photo credit. It's going to be courtesy of Modest Yahoo because I did the photos for them.
They paid you to do that.
They paid me to do that. That's what they did. That's what we agreed on. Okay, it gets even better. If no efforts are made within 15 days to contact me, I will be forced to take further action. Understandably, these demands were quite difficult for any organization. They went far outside professional compensation and credit for photography work. We discussed other options, and ultimately, when Max said he was planning to sue rather than continue a dialogue, there was a little option left but to defend our rights through the legal system. I have been and will continue to be at the table to visit about how to resolve this outstanding issue. As hard as it is to see tweets calling me a scumbag, hashtag scumbag, I'm amazed by the internet and its ability to give everyone a voice. I also appreciate the opportunity to share more information and insight into a complex situation. My personal hope and intentions has always been to get this resolved directly, amicably, and fairly, Travis. So it doesn't say that we didn't use his images without permission, which seems like they didn't get permission. Now, let's look at both sides of this. When Max saw that the images were being used at a sports authority with the Color Runs logo and not his, which it shouldn't have his, he asked them for compensation. He came to the table asking for $100,000 as a negotiating tactic.
I thought it was $30,000 at first.
No. He asked for $100,000 as a negotiating tactic, and this is all on his website that he put up that says what he asked for and why he wanted more. So they came to the table to talk. Now I understand when somebody's using your images that out of context, they asked first if they could use them online to put their logos on it, and he gave them permission to do that, and he gave them the high-res images to use. So what I think happened, and has happened to me before, is that once the images get internally into a company, they're set into a photo folder or something that people can use for publication or for press, right? So then somebody who doesn't know and didn't take the time to find out if they have the rights to use the images may have used them or said, this is a great image for this sports authority thing. And then they sold it or gave them permission to run it or made money off of it. So the Color Run people didn't acknowledge that they didn't have permission to use it.
Yeah, they didn't even bring that up.
So by sitting down at the negotiating table, which the Color Run did, they're kind of acknowledging that they made a mistake, but they came to the table. The letter that this kid wrote and the citing that his dad is a web designer and he's consulted these people, the letter is a joke. The way that he handled himself, he's young, and it comes across as being young. We've all been there and we've all done things that we would change in the future, but just reading the letter, yes, write a letter. Hey, it looks like you used some of my pictures for what you weren't supposed to use them for. Can we sit down and discuss some options? I really think I should be compensated because that was outside of the norm. Instead of this whole legalese thing, come to the table without threatening to sue. Because as soon as you threaten to sue or just start threatening anything,
never goes your way.
People's defense mechanisms go up.
Yep.
So anyway, they sat down at the table, which to me is acknowledging that they shouldn't have used the image, and they offered him $30,000.
Which is, I feel like,
$30,000 in compensation, as well as probably being still working for the company.
I think they said that, yeah, they would still let him work
still
for it and
work
everything.
for the company, and he wanted his name at the bottom of every single page in the footer. And that was one thing they didn't want to do. And when they said they didn't want to do that, he said they could tell that this was not just about money. It's about getting the recognition I should have gotten for the photos. Stop overvaluing yourself and thinking that your worth in those images is worth more than this company who gave you a job, who allows you to travel with them. I don't know the contract that he signed. Does it say that all images that they take while you're hired by Color Run become Color Run's property? That is a possibility.
I think that's the only thing we didn't see, right, is the contract?
We don't see, I don't even know. There must be a contract that they signed, but he wasn't a photographer. He was part of the traveling band that just helped, and he ended up taking pictures there.
Yep.
So is he, while he's working for the company, do those images become the company's property because he's getting paid by the company? That's not for me to figure out. That's just for me to ask that question. But saying that you want your name at the bottom of every single freaking page in the footer, first off, the footer doesn't mean crap. I know that there's stuff in my footer that it gets maybe clicked 5 times a day at most to whatever the person is down there, and it's not.
I don't ever look at it personally.
All photo, it just come to the table. They offered you $30,000.
I would have took the money and ran.
Right? They shouldn't have used your image. Mm-hmm. But if you really thoroughly enjoyed working with them, like the letter said, and you want to have an amicable, why would you go? How are you going to go back and work for them now?
I could never.
You just now became, are you trying to make a name for yourself and just sue the hell out of them and try to make a big deal? And it talks about how they got pro bono lawyers to be on their side, and lawyers are going to take up anything because some of those lawyers that just love doing this. They love getting out there and creating a scene. Not all lawyers, some. And I just the moral of the story is know the facts before you go out there and take a side. I'm leaning more towards, before I say that, they're countersuing Max.
I was going to say, yeah.
So they're countersuing because they say that he was employed on his Facebook page by the Color Run. Now, I don't know that that's breach of contract or false I didn't
think that was a big deal.
If Facebook gives you the option to say you're working for, and if Facebook doesn't allow us to verify, that somebody does work for you, then
well, it's not like you're using it on like your official resume or something, applying for jobs.
Right. So I don't know that. The countersuit, I don't know that they have much of a countersuit. I think the thing here is they used photos they shouldn't have used. He wants to get compensated. They sat down and negotiated. They offered $30,000 for the image. He said they've been seen millions of times around the world, both in print and electronically. Well, so the hell what?
And he upped the ante to $300,000.
Well, after he said that he now wanted $300,000,
which I think is just way too much.
That's when the Color Run people said, "Screw you guys, I'm going home. We're just going to countersue you and try to pound you into the ground.
We're going to lay down the law
with corporate might." So I think that people jumped to conclusion, Matt, way too quick, as always, and ripped on these people. They shouldn't have used his photos that way. I just think it was a miscommunication. Again, a young kid giving them permission to use the images on the website with permission. Lines get blurred lines.
I mean, yeah.
Hey. I just think lines get blurred.
I definitely think the Color Run is obviously at fault to begin with using his photo without permission, obviously. But I also think that asking $100,000 and then coming back with $300,000 when he could have easily settled with $30,000 and still been in good communication with the company,
still get credit.
Yeah, I would have easily took that offer.
They wanted to put a social. He wanted to be called
greedy, asking for that
being
much.
Being greedy is asking to be the official photographer for all time standing. You can't sit there and try to. In my opinion, in my opinion,
Let me preface that.
extort money out of them because they're both thinking that they're being extorted at this point. Yeah, I get it. $100,000 was a negotiating tactic, and they offered you $30,000. That's a hell of a lot more money that you will make off of any photo shoot at a color run.
Well, and I wonder how this will affect his reputation too.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
How does your reputation survive something like this? It's just all the facts are coming out. I think that he was young. He gave them permission to use the images. The images then went internally into the color run, and somehow they ended up on an advertisement.
Yeah.
They haven't publicly acknowledged that they shouldn't have used those images, but by offering him money and compensation is pretty much saying that, yes, they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But they came to the table, they offered to rectify the situation in good standing, and he went bent out of shape, talking to lawyers and just asking for too much. I've had this happen to me. People have used my images that they shouldn't have used. I've ended up using it as a negotiating chip to continue doing work or get something else in the future. They made a mistake, and it happened. You know how many times my images have been published and they forgot to put the byline.
Mine as well.
It happens all the time. They forget to put the byline, and they should have. And you could come back and say, well, it's in the contract that if you don't use my byline, you owe me $10,000. They'd probably get it right if you did that. But I think you have more to win by sitting there and saying, you know what, you guys made a mistake. What I'd like to do is be your official photographer. Yeah. Can you compensate me? But you know what? It happens. We're still good. I appreciate that you guys gave me a job.
We're human, you know?
I'm only human. That's the new Christina Perri song. I bleed when I fall down. I'm only human.
It sounds like another song. I just can't think of which song it sounds like.
Have you heard the song?
Yeah, you play it all the time.
Oh, I play Christina Perri. I bought a ticket to her show. Instead of asking her for one, I just bought one.
That's April, right?
It's in April,
Philly,
yeah. So I think we should move on from the color run thing. Moral of the story, don't jump to conclusions. Find out all the facts before you jump down somebody's throat and call them a scumbag, because there's always multiple sides to every single story.
And I'm sure by the time this goes live, there's going to be even more facts out there that we didn't read up on yet. But at the time, this is what we know.
Exactly. So we're just trying to point out the facts to you, give our opinions, because this is all in our opinion.
Yeah.
And if you want to read up on all the stories, all the links are over to the website. F-Stoppers has done a fantastic job covering it.
Because he wrote specifically to them. Yeah.
They wrote, which is good. I didn't read the thing on Petapixel, but I don't know if any of these people just jumped down their throats and said that these guys were doing the wrong thing. As a journalist, you can't just... You have to know the facts before you jump down people's throats. Biased. All right, Stephen. That was a needed conversation.
It was.
We had to do that. I know you haven't had time for your Squarespace lately, have you?
No, I have not actually at all. I've been pretty busy.
But here's a quick story. I put up the second Squarespace rapid fire critique of a guy's website. He was using Squarespace. And again, if you want to submit your images for a submit your website for a critique, it doesn't have to be a Squarespace. It's all about giving pointers and reading things about the website and seeing where things could be better. And like I say in the video, I am no web developer, I am no designer, but I can say what I think works in my opinion, I can say what I think works for a website. So I did the guy's website and I put it up, and he talked about being a black and white photographer. Like, through his eyes, the world is black and white, yet he had color images on his website. And I just was like, you either live by your slogan or you don't have one.
Yeah.
And I was not saying that you shouldn't ever shoot color, because clients are going to want both.
Oh, yeah.
But if your front-facing nature is to say that as your slogan, then you have to own it. You stick to it and you do it. But better yet, I got a message from him after it went live. He's like, I got a job out of this.
Oh, wow.
He's like, so a Fro reader contacted me from a law firm.
That's great.
That they want photos. And it's because he said, I'm a local, maybe Sacramento photographer. And I said, it's okay to list where you're from, but don't say like you're local Sacramento photographer, because you're not local to me.
Yeah.
Just say I'm a photographer
Sacramento.
and I reside in Sacramento, California, and I can travel the world to go wherever I need to go. But so basically, because he put the Sacramento thing in there,
pigeonhole yourself, yeah.
Right. Because he put that there, a Fro reader saw that and is possibly going to hire him to do a photo shoot.
That's great.
So that's pretty cool. Anyway, just quick plug Squarespace. Go to squarespace.com/fro. They'll give you a 14-day free trial. If you decide that you want to sign up for a year of service or 1 month, use code RAWtalk in this case because we're on RAWtalk, and they'll give you 10% off your first order. So that means if you get it for a year, it's, I believe, $86 for the year.
Nice.
Color run discussion done. We are up to gear of the week, I think.
Yeah, I think
we
are.
Hey, Sutter, you've been quiet. I know I haven't called on you much. We're up to that point. What are you holding a sign for? He says 60 minutes.
Hour in. That's great.
Well, there was a lot of photo news, and we had to talk about the color run.
No, I know.
I think we're on a good track for all the information that we had.
That is true.
I guess I won't cut to having Steven go play some dashboard confessional over there like he was
serenading us earlier.
So Steven, I'll take 2 minutes to do this, brought his guitar today. He was sitting over there while I'm just sitting here doing work, and I just had to get up and say, I want to go into the bathroom and cut myself because I feel I have to let the emotion out of my arms because I felt so emo with the music he was singing. It was like, and I was like, I better go turn on Dashboard Confessional, which I ended up doing.
We ended up blasting Dashboard throughout the whole place.
I'm not saying Steven was bad because he sounded good on the guitar, but he just sounded so emo. Can I see what's in your pocket, by the way?
I'm not gonna lie, I love Dashboard, though. I will say that.
I like Dashboard. Yeah. I had some of the greatest times hanging out with Chris
Carrabba. The nicest dude ever.
So I saw Steven had something, and if you're sitting at home listening to this, if you're listening to just the audio, you won't be able to see this. But Sutter has a comb, and it's all right to have a comb. And it must be, how much was this comb?
Like $25.
He bought a $25 comb, but better yet, he bought a leather case to hold his phone, his comb. Oh, I'm Steven Sutter.
You want to know what I have? I also carry a comb all the time with me.
Well, funny thing,
I have a $2 comb.
Funny thing you say that. I have a 13-cent FroKnowsPhoto hair pick in my pocket.
I used to carry really crappy combs, and they would just keep breaking and breaking.
I will say, I do go through a decent amount.
There's nothing, and we all three can't talk at the same time. There's nothing. There's nothing wrong with having a good comb. That's a nice product as long as you don't lose it. But it's funny that you have a leather case to hold it. That's pretty cool. Anyway, we're up to gear of the week, so I'm going to pull that up onto the table right now.
Sounds good.
It's an IO safe.
Yeah, you were telling me about this thing. This is literally like a safe with an enclosed hard drive. It's so heavy.
So sweet.
So sweet.
So this is an IO safe. If you're watching at home, it's 31 pounds. It has 2 hard drives in there, so it's kind of...
It's so heavy.
All right.
For those that are listening and not watching,
all right, we'll just put it right here.
Literally like 50 pounds.
It's 31 pounds.
Really?
Literally. Yes, that's what the box said from UPS. So what is an IO safe? It's similar to what a Drobo does, right? You put multiple hard drives in it. These guys contacted me and said, hey, do you want to review our IO safe? I was like, all right, send it in. We'll play with it. I wasn't expecting something like this. Basically, they call it a black box.
That's
like
what it is.
A black box of
airplane, yeah.
what an airplane has. And what it does is it's fireproof and it's waterproof up to a certain amount so that it's a smart idea. First off, when you take the front lid off, it is literally a safe inside. It has a fan on the back. It takes USB 3.0, and I haven't tried it yet because we've been busy, but this one only has 2 hard drives inside. I think it has 2 4 gigs, and it runs RAID system in there. It's just fascinating how heavy this is.
4 terabytes, you mean, or 4 gigs?
Yeah, 2 4 terabytes in there. What'd I say, gigs?
4 gigs,
You
yeah.
said
I'm
gigs.
sorry. But I know that they're going to be coming out with a larger unit at some point that may allow for 90 terabytes of expansion.
Oh, my God.
This is heavy. It's not your brother, but this could be... I could see having my Drobos on the desk and one of these IO safes because if I have a fire, look up. What do I have in my ceiling?
Wood?
No.
What are you looking at? Pipes?
What could ruin
Water. Yeah.
I have there's the sprinkler system in here. So if there's a fire,
you do have a ton of sprinklers.
well, that's because when they built this, you have to be up to code, right? With the sprinkler. So if my Drobos get busted and wet and get drowned, then I lose my data.
Yeah.
If this thing does, you're going to be able to recover your information from it. So that's all I'm saying about that.
And remember,
Don't
you
they
had
work
that
with
roof.
Synology?
What's up?
Or something like that?
Yeah, I think it's Synology is the brand. Is that what it is?
Because
Or-
their stuff's pretty cool, too.
It's based on Synology's setup, I believe.
Okay.
And the other piece of gear that I just want to show real quick, this is just a Thunderbolt to FireWire adapter for my Mac. For the new Mac, when I set it up,
that costs like $80.
No, this is $29 now. It's not bad at all because it continues to speed
not
to
bad
allow
for
you to
Apple
have
prices.
the FireWire on my computer. So we've got that. Steven, it's time for the Wheel of Fro. Can you please, how much time's left on the clocks? 8 minutes. Oh, good. All right, so we're going to do that, and then after we do that, we are going to get to the flying solo portions and try to make it pretty quick. So here we have the Wheel of Fro, and before I tell you who...
And we tightened it up a little bit this week, too.
I don't want it tighter.
No, it's perfect now.
All right,
we did a test.
All right, so get that set up. I am going to read around. We've got Borrow Lenses, $200 in credit Borrow Lenses would give you. Squarespace, they would give you a free year of the business Squarespace. We've got my FroKnowsPhoto flash guide. Adorama Picks. I need to get some more stuff on the wheel, so I gotta ask some other companies, and they don't pay to be on the wheel. This is all free because I want good stuff to give away. Adorama Picks. Check out the rapid fire Adorama Picks. They got the photo books, FroKnowsPhoto Beginner Guide, Think Tank giving a photo bag, Rode does microphones that they give away, Lexar Hub. Oh, and by the way, Todd Wolf is loving the Lexar Hub. We're using it to transfer data after the video guide shoot that is 250 gigs a day. He's using it.
He definitely needs it too.
Yeah, he definitely does need
so many cards every day.
I wish I had 4 SD card slots for him so that he could do it much quicker.
What does he use SD for most of the time?
Well, they're actually shooting in the 5D Mark IIIs with SD.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. A lot of those guys like using the SDs. So, who's going to be spinning the Wheel of Fro today? If your first name starts with an S.
Is he Steven? Is he Steven?
No, it's not Steven. I'm going to spin it first, and then I'll tell you who won. All right, let's go. I'm going to get the spin going. Right, meow. Wheel of Fro! Around and round the Wheel of Fro goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. Who's going to win this week? I'm not telling you until it stops, and we pick a winner. And I'm thinking it's going to be a question mark today. And it's a FroKnowsPhoto flash guide, which this person already has. So I'm spinning it again. Wheel of Fro! Yeah, she already has the flash guide, so I'll just give it away to somebody else. Let's see. It is the flash guide. She already has it, so we're going to spin it again. Oh, and I said she. So if you're a woman with a first name that starts with an S and you already have my flash guide, this could be you. What's the chances of Oh, she'll take that. Anyway, Rode microphone. Nice. So congratulations. Yeah. You are going to win a Rode microphone if your name is Shelly Augustine Sherwood. Congratulations, Shelly. She's a cool lady. We've met her. I've met her a couple of times.
Nice.
Actually, once. I believe she was at the California boot camp, and she has the flash guides, and now she got to spin the Wheel of Fro. So thank you to Rode Microphone for that prize that you are giving to them, to Shelly. Again, we're using our Rode microphones here. We're using them in the video guide as well. A bunch of other microphones that we're also using too. So check out Rode. Oh, they haven't said, I think that $50,000 contest giveaway is coming up. Mm-hmm. I'm not allowed to enter, by the way. I asked, but I think Sutter's allowed to enter.
Can I?
I think
I
no.
probably can't.
I don't think you're allowed to enter either. But go check out their Facebook page and see when they're announcing this $50,000 prize in prizes for making an awesome video. So it's time to fly solo, I think.
Nice.
Woo.
Okay, here we go.
Sweet.
Here you go. Minute and a half.
You should label them like what each sound is. A boink, a bing bong, a
Bing, ding, boing.
yeah, ding.
So here we go. Flying solo. Stephen Eckert. Can you make it under 2 hours this week so Steven doesn't have to edit all day Monday?
I wish, man. I hope. I'm feeling that this is going to be probably like an hour and a half.
Oh, well, if you would stop
45.
talking,
hour 45.
We could go skip this.
Oh, I'm always the one talking. I apologize.
Tico Ooms. Let's say there's a fantastic scene in front of you. You're a photographer. That's what you do in the first place. But you're also making a movie about this scene. So it's important that you get the shot. What do you do first? Take a couple of stills or do a little 10-second video? I often have to make that decision, and it's pretty hard. Depends on the scene, of course, but I'd like to know your take on this in general. Now, we talked about this before. If you're on a shoot and you're doing video, you have to stick to doing video, because if you're trying to take stills at the same time, you're going to end up missing both because you're not prepared for both. maybe you need to have 2 cameras at that point, but it would be pretty cool in the future at some point if you could get stills from the same camera that's shooting video, but get actual stills. I don't know. That would be awesome to get.
They say the Canon Cine cameras can, but I don't think it's
At the same time?
I think when you're doing video, at the same time.
Like the 1DC can do that.
You can extract it, but it's not an actual still.
yeah.
Like maybe if you could get
You can just extract it. You're right.
Yeah,
just
you can
a frame.
You can extract the frame, but it would be cool that if we were shooting video, that the camera would automatically every couple seconds or so take still images
without pausing the actual video.
Well, in conjunction with that, it would do both. That would be pretty insane.
Mm-hmm.
Shelley Augustine Sherwood is the new guide for more advanced shooters who have already watched the beginner and flash guide. Shelley, the answer to that is that it's totally different than the flash guide and beginner, because we're jumping into video, and it's video for DSLRs, micro four thirds, mirrorless. Really, it's any type of camera that you put a lens on that has manual controls and audio inputs, and it doesn't even need to have audio inputs. But yes, it's basic. It's like the beginner guide it's like both beginner guides. It hits the information. We've talked about it earlier. I don't need to talk about it more. But yeah, so that answers your question.
Yeah, and the film and video world is completely different than, I mean, your photography is the basics, but at the same time, there's so much more to learn.
And what's cool about it too is that I talk about some things as it pertains to photo.
You relate
and
it
how
that
it's
way.
different. Yeah, I try to relate it that way.
Nice.
Because I know that a lot of people are coming from the photo world to get this, and I'm really excited for it. Tony Davies.
Tony Danza?
Davies. Hold me close now, Tony Danza. For someone who is self-taught, YouTube, mainly your videos, thank you. What on the guide that will help me different than what is on? So what he's asking, so what Tony Davies is asking is, what's different in this guide coming out? And these questions, they're not all about the flash guide, the video guide. Trust me. I just thought this was an interesting question. He's basically saying what's in this guide that he couldn't already find online. The answer to this, for anything that anybody puts up for sale online, is you can find anything you want online for free. But do you want to sit there for hours trying to sift through the good content, the bad content, and the mediocre content? And what is your time worth? It all comes down to what is your time worth. And if you like learning from the style that I teach, then it's probably worth it to buy a 3, 4, 5 hour guide that's packed full of all the information in one place.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. You can find, people say it all the time, why would I spend $67 for your beginner guide? All that stuff's out there for free. Yeah, good luck. What's your time worth? How long are you going to sit there and try to find the right information?
Yeah.
So, okay. Tariq Brown, can you be the one who finally explains to me what the use for the depth of field button on modern DSLRs is? Yeah, I can explain it to you. I have no freaking clue why they even include this on a camera.
I've only used it a couple times.
What, the depth of field preview button?
You want to know what the depth of you want to see a depth of field preview? Take a freaking picture and you can see it now.
It's kind of pointless these days, yeah.
It's pointless these days, and I always thought it was pointless back then too.
Yeah.
Nobody could ever explain it. Well, it's for seeing where your depth of field's going to be.
See what's in focus, and yeah.
I never used it.
I still don't ever use it at all.
What are your thoughts on photographers bad-mouthing other photographers about techniques and shooting styles? So I have to be careful how I answer this, because I ripped the hell out of Ken Rockwell for a long time, and it's been a while since I've really dove into that, because it's really not necessary to sit there and rip on him, even though I like doing it because I still want to get him on RAWtalk. It depends. I mean, there is no reason to rip on certain photographers. You know, putting yourself out there in such a negative light that you're the guy who's negatively ripping on somebody makes you start to look bad.
That's true.
It's one of those things that I am aware of, and I pulled back on ripping on Rockwell, but he does still say a lot of stupid stuff. I mean, he really does say a lot of stupid stuff, but it is what it is. I don't need to lower myself to rip on somebody. And I'm very careful. There's been a lot of stuff happening in the last 6 months about photographers either getting caught stealing or using other people's images or stuff that they didn't create, and I didn't dive into it because, one, I didn't know all the facts, and two, it just wasn't worth getting into a battle.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful. Flat out ripping on people unless you... I don't even know what to say about it other than that.
I mean, my whole thing is, as long as the image comes out to be a decent, well-shot image, then I don't really care how they shoot it or composite, all that kind of stuff. As long as it's a good product in the end.
Yeah, it's a tough situation because it breeds a lot of negativity when you start going down that path, and you have to be careful because it reflects sometimes poorly on you.
Oh, yeah.
Michael L. Dunlop, have you run into the problem of some autofocus lenses working fine for stills, but not autofocusing in live view video mode on Nikon DSLRs? Honestly, no, because I do not shoot autofocus when it comes to shooting video.
Yeah, I don't either.
The only time is when we may lock our focus in
the beginning.
But when we're running and gunning, we are manually focusing everything because we're just quicker than what this camera can do. So no, I actually haven't run into that.
And that's what follow focuses are for these days.
Yep. Adam Forsberg. Will there be a Kickstarter to fund Sutter's new hipster glasses? Steven Sutter put out there that he needs new glasses. And
needs glasses. Like I don't have glasses now.
What was your vision?
Honestly, like if I went to a doctor right now and read the stupid chart on the wall, I would still have 20/20. But things really, really far away are starting to get blurry for me.
That's how
so I
I
have
am.
a very
So you're
mild
nearsighted.
prescription.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? I didn't have glasses for a long time. And
He just wants the hipster glasses.
Well,
that's
yeah. No, there will not be a fund to. Actually, there should be. There should be because I heard you had trouble. Anyway, we're not even going to talk about that. When I put on glasses for the first time, I was so amazed at what it did.
Me too.
Now, the prescription wasn't huge. It wasn't strong. But what it did is it tightened everything up, which allowed me to see things at a distance. And it was like, holy shit. And I can't shoot photos with glasses. Next question. Justin Connors, what are your thoughts on the Nokia Lumia 1020 for the mobile photography? I saw a video done by a National Geographic photographer, and it was stunning. Would you consider taking on a project like that and only shoot with the phone? Pretty neat. Absolutely. Why wouldn't I take on a project? If somebody's coming to me and saying, use this camera and get quality and do something with it, I wrote this note on the bottom. Any camera in a professional's hands can create stunning results. When you're a professional, you can pretty much take anything because you have an understanding of composition and lighting. That's why people can do fantastic work with Instagram. It doesn't matter what camera you have in your hands, it's what you're doing with it. So if they came to me and said, would you use this and try to create something cool? Absolutely. Would I switch and would I ever come out and sit there and say, this is going to replace my DSLR? No.
At that point, it really comes down to composition and your angles. I mean, you really can't do much as far as settings go. Most of it's auto.
In the Lumina, I know that you can. Well,
can you do manual?
For stills, you can do manual controls.
Okay. Well, then never mind.
Right.
Take back all I just said.
But I don't know about for video.
I'm thinking like iPhone and stuff like that.
Right, and even that you can still do manual
you can do
controls.
the touch, but
there's some apps that let you do some
I
more.
still
too.
don't really trust them.
Mark Nice. Fro, back in 2010, you made a video talking about having a 5-year plan for our photography. It's almost been 5 years. Actually, it's only been under 4. 5 years now since that video came out. How has your plan worked out? Is it the same as your first plan, or has it changed? What do you have planned for the next 5 years? Good luck on the video guide.
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Thanks, Sutter. So my personal 5-year plan revolves around already being at the highest level of my own 5-year plan, which was work your way up to the best gear that you can get that doesn't hold you back. And when you're a full-time professional, you basically replace your bodies with the next professional body that comes out. At least in my opinion, what I do. With a D4S coming out, I will buy a D4S. I will sell my D4 and roll that money right into the D4S, making that maybe a $2,000 investment or less. And then in 2 years, I will do the same thing when a D5 comes out. I will roll it into that. I already own the top of the line glass, so my plan isn't really to add more glass at this point. Actually, where's my 5-year plan going? A lot more into video. I just think we're all going into video, and that's not the only reason don't ding me, all right? Give me extra time. That's why I'm
Lifeline.
not... What?
Lifeline being used.
Well, yeah, but... See,
no, this is worth it.
You know what's funny? People are like, you've been making way too many videos about video. Are you a photographer or are you a video person? And I want to point out a lot of photographers from the past. Let's go back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and even into the 2000s. A lot of photographers have found themselves starting to direct video back in the day. You know, like Neil Leifer was a Sports Illustrated photographer. Neil Leifer, we've talked about before, started to direct film because They've done everything they can do with still images, and then they want to get into moving images. Danny Clinch is a primetime example today who does that. I wonder if Mark Seliger does that as well. Because when you have a vision as a photographer, that sometimes can translate well into having a vision for moving images, as I think I said as well twice, but it moves into that way as well. So I think still images, always going to be there. Moving into more video and producing that type of stuff is absolutely where the 5-year plan is going for me.
Well, and video essentially is photography. It's just moving images. That's what it is. I mean, there's different rules when it comes to video, but I mean, if you ever watch the news, for example, they always say, "Oh, my photographer," but really, you know, if you were to call it to a normal person, they'd say like videographer, but that's essentially what they are, is a photographer.
Yeah, they create images.
Yeah.
They create them, either they're stills or they're moving. So when I go, I'm going to be pitching something to Gavin DeGraw, and that is to, and I really need you full time for that, because then you can come on the road with me.
Yep.
And
well, when is that going to be?
I'm not telling you. It's
if it's in the summer, then maybe that could work.
I'm just gonna make you an offer, Steven, and you're just not gonna have to not gonna be able to refuse it, because I'm not putting you on the spot.
Don't put me on the spot.
No, I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm not putting you on the spot. All I'm saying is Steven has been a tremendous freaking addition over the last 6 months, probably 6 months at this point, to helping the content grow into a new level. RAWtalk has grown so much since you've sat down at this table or started sitting out over there, monitoring the audio, tweaking the audio in post-production, editing these videos, helping me. Like, I started with one camera, and you're the one who said, why don't we add more cameras?
Yeah.
Because you thought that it would be better. And
because I knew we could do this. I knew that this is where I wanted it to be.
And that's what I look for in working with somebody that's going to take the initiative and not just sit on the sidelines and just do their job, quote unquote, but take the risks to come up with ideas, to pitch ideas, to have ideas turned down, and to not have your feelings hurt, and then come back with more ideas because I like them.
Well,
right?
And what I like about working with you is that you're always so open about my ideas.
I'm open about your ideas because you've earned it.
If I suggest something, you're usually like, okay, let's do it.
You've earned it.
Thank you.
And that's what and you earn the ability to do those things. So the 5-minute portraits, the type of videos that I want to do really requires having somebody full-time to, at any time during the day, any time during the week, be able to travel wherever we want to travel, to get those video shoots done, to not have any constraints of time. I know it's very demanding, a full-time job, but it also can be very rewarding and taking part in everything that happens. So anyway, that's just me just talking.
No, that's great. I think people underestimate the amount of time that goes into RAWtalk too. I mean, I think probably half of my hours that I get allocated with you more than half go into RAWtalk easily.
Well, and
I would say 3/4.
Well, part of it is also trying to find a way to make that easier on you.
Yeah.
And we have to figure that out. And I know that the live switcher is an option. It's going to take somebody who's very good at live switching to be able to professionally be able to do that. That would save a shit ton of time.
Yeah, I just think in the end, I'd rather have live to tape versus live switching. I don't know if it's worth it.
No, that would be live switching to tape. Everything would get recorded.
I understand what you mean, but like at the same time, with how we go back and forth so many times, you have to, like you said, really experienced person to know when to switch.
Yeah.
Or we can just take our pauses in between and let them switch.
No. I think they'd be able to do it.
Yeah. Or if they did a fadeaway or something into
Well, they would simply go, all right, take one and then two and then take the fourth angle when Steven does it.
You need a good producer behind it.
They'd know what they were doing.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a rapid fire question that somebody put.
Oh, nice. We haven't done these in a little while. Rapid fire, $100,000 in real money or $1 million in Amazon gift cards?
Man, I mean, don't you just have to go with the $1 million? It's 10 times as much as the cash.
I would totally do $1 million.
You can buy anything on Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
You can buy everything. Yoda or Darth Vader?
Oh, I didn't even see that. I'm going to go with Yoda. I go with going to. Have you seen Star Wars?
Yes.
All right, just checking. All of them?
If not all of them, most.
If you don't know, Steven!
There's 7 of them, right? Or 6?
No,
There's 6
of
and they're
them.
working on the 7th.
There's episodes 4,
I've probably-
5, 6.
Which were the originals.
1, 2,
2,
3.
Now they're working on 7, right?
Yes.
Which Disney is
All right.
hopefully doing. Hakuna Matata or YOLO? That's tough.
That's easy. Hakuna Matata.
Have your dream gym at home or dream studio at home? That's tough for you.
I'll take a gym right now. No, seriously, I have the studio aspect. I can't make that area the gym, but I would love to have a gym set up.
Now, what if you were, say, at your parents' house or something? Would you do dream gym or dream studio?
What's a dream? What do I need a dream studio for?
I don't know.
Seriously, studios are kind of.
I know this next one already. Firefox or Google Chrome?
I use Chrome.
You're all about Chrome. You're all about Google in general.
Not all about. I mean, I don't use Android.
I love Firefox personally over Chrome.
Ian Furness. My question, and this is a long one. I've been looking around, reading the reviews, watching the videos in countless websites, and what's been going through my head every time I watch them is why is it that when we talk of photographers, say a wedding photographer, we were blah, blah, blah. Excuse me. We recognize this as a specialization, but we don't do the same for cameras. What I mean is there is you don't expect a wedding photographer to shoot great landscapes or a sports photographer to shoot a concert well. Well, actually, I do that. When a camera comes out and gets reviewed, basically what this person is saying is that cameras get reviewed. He doesn't understand that somebody will say that the 6D is not good for sports. So they'll pinpoint what they think it's not good for.
Yeah.
But I use the 6D for sports. Honestly, when it comes to reviews, when we review gear, we say what we think it will be good for. Now, if the autofocus is terrible, like a 5D Mark II, that may not be good for sports or for weddings or for just about anything other than shooting video, especially at this point. I don't know. I don't even know that I want to continue on.
Well, it's like the Canon 1DX, they say, is a sports camera, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that it's not going to take good photos anywhere else.
Great portraits, great anything.
But essentially, it's probably most meant to be a sports camera.
So when it's
frame rate,
right, and when I'm doing my reviews, I look at everything.
Yeah,
and I just look at usability and what the features are that will allow you to capture any type of image.
Exactly.
I don't think that
Overall.
I just bought a D3300 today. And that will be Brandon's bringing it to me from Allen's.
Nice.
Because I want to use it. The specs in that thing blow out of the water my D2H. It blows out of the water the D2X at this point, just in image quality, not in build quality.
You said D3300, right?
Yeah, 3300.
Okay.
Yeah. I just bought it, and they only had red and gray in stock, so I bought the red.
Nice.
It's like I'm gonna lick it. Anyway, I just want to go out and
purple.
If they had purple, I would buy it. I just want to go out and shoot with it. I just want to do the super secret project all over again, which is one of the things I did many years ago.
That's a great entry level camera. What's the price of that now?
It's like $628, $640. I think it was $500 and some dollars. No,
that'd be a great backup camera.
I think Allen's has it for under $650. It's like $646.
That's really good
for a kit.
For the kit too.
For the kit with an 18 to 55. So they don't sell body only for that.
Okay.
And if they did, it would be $100 less because that lens. But I wanted to buy it. Will you stop it? All right, Andrew McGinley. What would be the best settings, lenses for shooting DSLR video in low light? Also, what are the pros and cons of shooting DSLR video over a video camera? Now, I can't tell you what the best settings are for shooting in low light. All that's going to change depending on the lighting situation that you're in.
Yeah, there's not really a standard setting. I mean, add more light, that's what I would say.
Right, and you also have to remember that with video, your shutter speed... There's reasons why your shutter speed stays at a certain place. And we're going to talk about that in the video, and I'll just say it here. Double your frame rate. If you're at 24 frames a second, the general rule of thumb is that you stay at 50th of a second, and we demonstrate with a metronome what happens when you go to 50th of a second, 250th, 1,000th, and around. You can see what happens.
You see why you don't shoot past that.
Well, not always. Sometimes you may shoot past it.
Yeah.
It's personal preference. And
it really is.
We hammered that home. It's just the general rules of thumb are there. Pros and cons, DSLR video. Well, one of the pros of shooting with a video camera is that it's going to focus better. But I find that a lot of the video cameras tend to have less quality with smaller sensors, and they don't have the punchy nature of what you're trying to get with your camera and lens.
They always seem to be really...
depth of field. You're going to get a shallower depth of field from a DSLR than you are from like a camcorder.
Yeah, because it's a much smaller sensor. They're the little CCD sensors or whatever they're called.
Yeah, I mean, Sony has put out some of the CMOS sensors, but in general, when you talk about a camcorder,
general camcorders are mostly the smaller.
I still think you're better off with a DSLR these days.
Yeah.
Nick Robinson, do you feel you're constrained with the length of time you can record on the likes of the D800 and D4, for instance? For example, if you were only using one camera, would you recommend using something like the Atomos Ninja in conjunction with the D800 to allow for longer recording times overall? It depends on what you're shooting. If you're shooting an interview or a conference, and that just keeps going and going past 20 minutes or 29:59, then yes, an Atomos is going to be a good option if you just have one camera and you need to make sure it never turns off. That is what you could use, because that way you could do 8 hours or more, depending on what you have. Things like RAWtalk with one angle, we make sure that we have that running on the Atomos. But general everyday shooting, where you're making under 20-minute clips, may not be the time to use that.
Well, unless you want that HDMI, clean HDMI out.
Or you want the highest of high, straight off the sensor. 422 and all that stuff.
Now, the other thing is, too, like, I wish we had the Atomos for when we did that Truth About Photography lecture that you did at Antonelli, because that would have been great. We had to actually use two cameras, and I had to cut in between. There's actually a few portions where there's 5 seconds of we had to stop the camera so the audio got lost. I was fine with the cameras because I started them a little bit, maybe 5 minutes ahead of each other. So the video was great, but not the audio.
He's at 90 minutes, and there's way too much here. So I'm just going to keep going.
Do you want me to shorten down to a minute?
No, don't talk to me. Brian Winkler, does shutter speed play a role in videos? I actually just answered that. So yes, it does play a role in videos. Not only does it let in more light, or that it still affects what's going on in the image, whether it's going to be more of a smooth look of a subject or it's going to be more of a staccato look. For example, the old videos I used to shoot in my backyard at 1,000th of a second at, say, f3.5, because I didn't know any better. The 1,000th of a second, you could see the butterflies flying in the background and the bugs flying because it was so staccato. If it was shot at the proper frame rate with a neutral density filter on front, a variable neutral density filter, then it would have been a little smoother. Now, I sometimes like that staccato look, but for interviews, it's not going to make that person look very good.
Yeah.
Kevin Hartwig just got a D5100 a couple months ago and would like to use it to film me and friends hunting and fishing. Knowing that it will be sunny out, how important is an ND filter? It's kind of funny, like I sort of answered that. If this is filming in terms of video, a neutral density filter, or in this case, a variable neutral density filter, is extremely important for shooting outside for so many different reasons. Because if you're outside and it's bright sunny and you're trying to get that 1/50th of a second at, say, f4, you're going to be at f maybe 22 cutting back on the light, and you may not even have enough ability in the camera to cut back on the light. That's where that...
What's he shooting? Hunting and stuff? Fishing?
Yeah.
I think, but at that case, you might want a really deep depth of field like f22 to see the water or the whatever, the woods, wherever they're at.
Or then you throw the variable neutral density filter on there and you get some of that smoothing out that you wouldn't get in other cases.
Yeah, that too.
Quick question. Don Williamson, on a budget, Canon 6D or 5D Mark II? Don't even consider a 5D Mark II at this point.
Yeah, 6D all the way, for sure.
The John Creek, The Walking Dead or Breaking Bad? I've only watched Breaking Bad. I've never watched Walking Dead.
Yeah, and I would say people of both shows will rave about both. I mean, that's tough. My friends both like Breaking Bad and Walking Dead.
So it's a good question. It's a little long. Adam Torres. This will be kind of long-winded. I am a self-taught photographer trying to start my own photography wedding business, and I reached out to 10 local wedding photographers. One replied to... it's not written well, so that's why I stopped. One replied, he saw my portfolio and gave me a contract, and in that contract, I can't open my own wedding business within 120 miles of his. I am shocked that no one or very few are as gracious as you are, Fro. What do you think? Well, I don't disagree with that. I, personally would pay people well enough to shoot with me to keep them on my team and then start sending them out on their own to make more money and do a work together as they grow. To tell you that you can't shoot within 120 miles, I wouldn't sign that contract at all. I would just find somebody else to shoot with.
Yeah.
But people do this in business all the time, to say that I've taught you so much that you can't work for 3 years in this industry again.
Well, that's radio and any entertainment industry.
You can't
same thing.
To a competitor.
Yeah.
Stuff
it's
like
usually
that.
2 or 3 years after you get fired or quit or whatever.
Right. So it's as simple as you don't go work for this guy. Marco Press Chat. Hey, Jared, what happened? Basically, he's asking what happened to the January photo of the month. I haven't finished it yet. I just haven't spent a lot of time doing the photo of the month stuff.
You've been a little busy.
Yeah, I've been busy, and that's why I feel that, he asked, is RAWtalk more important and things like that. I think certain projects still take time, but the photos of the month do take a lot of time because I have to go through 50, 60 pages of images, and I just sometimes don't feel like doing it. So that's really that. Rick Maines, I make YouTube tutorials for airbrushing. Usually the camera is fairly close to me. Would you recommend a boom mic on stand or corded lav mic? I mean, anytime that you can get a microphone right on yourself, especially if you're moving and doing airbrushing, a boom mic, and we explained this actually in the video. We shot this the other day during the video guide shoot. A boom mic is going to be some of the best audio you can have if you've got a boom mic operator following you around, or you put it on a stand. As long as you're just standing in one spot.
Static, yeah.
Look, now you can't really hear me as well. That's the same thing that's going to happen with the boom mic because it's not facing right to you. I wear a lav mic for every one of my videos. Because I think it sounds great and I move a lot, and I think that it's a great option. So you have options. You could get a video smart lav from Rode and plug that into an iPhone, or you could get a wired mic that has like a 30-foot cable, run it down your shirt and wherever, and plug it into the camera. You just have to be careful that you don't pull it out. So that could be like $30. So there's your options.
Yeah, and just keep in mind that a boom mic's going to pick up a lot of that background noise or air conditioner or whatever it is in the background.
Kevin Cucci Art Simonages has a really long question, so I'm actually going to skip it, but I just wanted to say your name. John Curry, I know you preach getting out and learning on your own, but to further my knowledge, what do you think about online courses versus brick and mortar colleges or tech schools? First off, let me say something about online photography learning, like the New York Institute of Photography and stuff. All these people are doing are giving you assignments and telling you to go shoot and taking your money. It's the same thing that you can find, and that's what a school is going to do as well. But what you get going to an actual school is they give you assignments, and then they talk to you about what you captured.
Yeah.
I would not buy a lot of online learning because it tends to be extremely expensive. Now, I sell mine for $67, which is a hell of a lot less expensive than $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for a course. You can find a lot of this information out there, but the crux of learning is by doing. And that is really the thing. If you have you can find any assignment on any free website. There's a lot of them. Just go out and do them. That's really what school is all about.
I mean, it comes down to what kind of person you are, too. Like, for me, I had this one hybrid class, for example, that was half online, half you had to go to check out the lecture. And I never did any of the online assignments because I need to be there with someone actually pushing me to do that. But that's me. Some people can actually push themselves when they're doing online only.
I'm also going to go out on a limb. Don't ding me, please. I'm going to go out on a limb here and tell you that, or say that most schools are going to do away with online learning in the next 5 years. Really? Why am I saying that? Because the major institutes, the big deal like Penn and UPenn and like those people have realized that nobody's actually learning online. They're not doing the work that's provided, and the grades of those classes are low. People just don't do it.
Yeah, but I know a couple people that are really strong-willed when it comes to that stuff, and they do it, and they do a good job with it too.
I just think that the schools are it's a moneymaker.
I think majority, probably don't.
I just think getting a degree online, you still need that. You still need to be in person to learn quite a bit.
I do personally. I can't do it any
so
other
maybe
way.
It won't fully be gone, but maybe it's going to be very selective for certain classes.
Yeah.
Okay, we're almost there. I'm losing my voice.
How many more pages we got?
Just one.
Nice.
And a half. Mark Bridge, Bainbridge. After RAWtalk, how long does it take to break down all of the equipment?
Well, breaking down isn't bad. Breaking down is probably only about 20 minutes maybe, but putting up is about an hour, maybe a little more.
About an hour, depending on where the gear is.
It's about a 5-hour process altogether because we basically started off, we set it up about an hour, we do the actual podcast, which could be an hour to 2 hours, break it down, then we do photo news right after, which we have to set up for that
preview.
as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a big process.
Daryl Givens, the video guide sounds awesome. What do you think of stepping outside DSLRs and going for something like, say, a Blackmagic? And what's your opinion on 4K? I have no opinion on 4K other than everything's going 4K. It will get there.
And then 8K.
And then 8K. And
then 12K. And
it just keeps going. That's technology. So what do I think of the Blackmagic? If you're a video shooter, and that is, you just need a box with a sensor on it and a place to put lenses, it's going to do what you need it to do.
It's great. It really is.
But
great.
I know that a lot of the film crew that we work with likes the freedom of the DSLR still.
Yeah, I like shooting with the Red Epic personally. That was my favorite.
One of the guy on the
But
crew,
that's also a lot more expensive.
he owns one.
Does he?
Yeah.
They're like 15 grand for the brain alone. Well, they could be like 10 to 15.
So I won't skip this because it's for you. Paris Hidden. Got a question for Steven. I know you love your Canon 50-1.2, but when shooting at a concert, do you go for primes or do you go for 2.8 zooms? When you use zooms, at what point do you switch over to a prime? Greets from Holland. P.S. Marvel or DC? I don't care about comics personally.
I don't really care about that either because they both have pretty good, awesome superheroes. But when it comes to that, I mean, I'm the same with you. Definitely a variable zoom 2.8, I would say, because you never know what's going to happen with a show or a concert. You never know where they're going to be. It's very spontaneous. You need to be prepared and ready. With a 51.2, you're pigeonholing
So
yourself
limited.
and especially if you're going to be in the pit. 51.2, even on a full frame, doesn't give you much as far as wide angle goes.
The only time that I suggest breaking out primes is when you are on tour with a band and you have access to try different things and get different results.
Have all day, every day to do that. You know what I mean? But when you have 3 songs, definitely variable zoom.
Okay. Paul Best, do you ever have a I can't believe that they are paying me moment while shooting, or I wish I said no? I think I have a fixed price in my head that I'm not getting out of bed to shoot, and your advice worked when you mentioned that we ask. Oh, okay. Basically saying, have you ever had those moments where you say, I can't believe they're paying me to do this, or the other side around was that this wasn't worth the shoot?
I've had both, for sure.
I can't believe that I get paid to go out and shoot photos. It's amazing to get paid a nice amount of money to do what I do. I still worry about it. You know, like doing the Modest Yahoo stuff, or I've talked about that. When you get paid to do something that you love, it's amazing. It's amazing to know what you can make as a photographer.
Yeah,
that stuff is just incredible. I can't believe I get paid to go do what I love. Yes, there's always those shoots that you take that it's what was it here?
I can't believe I'm getting out of bed for this price.
Oh no, I wish I said no.
Yeah,
you know.
Everyone has those moments.
You have those moments, but you have to fight through it. You make your choices. You took the job. You have to keep through it and go on.
Well, especially if you're just starting, you just got to, like you said, push through it.
What's the best? Sorry, Peter Connor. What's the best method to focus manually while doing video? Any kind of focus puller.
Yeah.
Anything that allows your hands to get more free on the side. We talk about that in the guide as well. Just other ways to focus, because one good way to do manual focus is the 70D, the Canon 70D. Technically, it's auto when you're moving it, but you're selecting where to put the focus.
Oh, the touch screen?
So amazing.
Yeah.
That was so amazing. To have that ability, if there was a port on a camera that would allow you to have seamless control. Now, I know you can use Wi-Fi for a lot of these cameras and control it via an iPad or a phone. Mm-hmm. But if it was instant and you had a way to plug in and you could sit there on an iPad and touch where you want the focus to be for video and call that focus pulling manually, that would be a victory.
Yeah.
Blair Byron, have you considered doing a video guide on post-production? I've asked Adam to start putting together an outline for a Lightroom video done our way.
Yeah. He loves his shortcuts too. He's very informative when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah,
definitely.
So we're debating it. It may be something that we jump into.
I think that's what people are most confused about these days when it comes to photography is post-production.
Yeah, and I work. There's Adam he's working on a Lightroom one, and I actually have another guy who doesn't even touch Lightroom, but is the Photoshop guy.
See, I'm the opposite.
Who does amazing stuff. So.
And it's also to each his own with editing when it comes to that. I mean, everyone likes their own preferences. You like the punchy contrast. Right. I kind of pull back on it.
Yeah, and I think what I'll say about the video guide as well is we're going to work on an editing guide at the exact same time, so that when they come out, you will have an option of purchasing the editing guide. You're not forced to buy it. Nobody's forcing anybody to buy it. That's why I'm not going to just combine it into one, because then I don't want to price it out of anybody's range. I want it to still be economically smart for people, but there will be an option to pick up that guide for editing. Now, when we say editing, we're not talking about you need to have this program. We're talking about the theories and fundamentals behind editing, because and this goes with the last question. Let me read that real quick. Ed Krisak, your recommendation for video editing software, the easiest to use with minimal learning curve. Well, one of the easiest to use is iMovie if you have a Mac.
Or Windows Movie Maker.
Which is not easy to use.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
For a PC user? Yeah. Wow. It's drag and drop and export.
But and then there's Final Cut, there's Avid, there's Vegas, there's Premiere Pro. You will hear most people using Premiere Pro and Final Cut.
Yeah.
iMovie is extremely simple to use, but along the lines of the editing guide that we're talking about, it doesn't matter what system you have, because editing is all about timeline management, putting stuff where it goes, cutting, moving things around. And when you go from program to program, it's just a matter of which buttons do what that are different in this program.
Yeah.
So it's all about the theories and fundamentals. Same thing that we did with the beginner guide to photography. You don't have to ding me, Steven. We're good. Same. How much time's left total?
2 minutes.
All right. So you're going to need to reset it again so we wrap it up. But it's along the same lines of the beginner guide, is that you are learning the fundamentals and basics that you can build on your own when you start picking the program that you want to pick.
Yep. And make sure you pick that right program from the beginning, I would say, because it's a lot easier to do that than to have to switch midway or something like that.
Or learn both at the same time.
Or learn both if you could.
That you're proficient and you know the ins and outs and pros and cons of using both.
Definitely.
So that was it's a pretty long show. A lot of talking, a lot of stuff that we had to go in today, especially that color run was pretty important to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We are going back into filming the guide now, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we're not sure when RAWtalk is going to be recorded next time.
Probably a weekend again, I guess, right?
We'll try to do a weekend, get you in here to do that.
Or nighttime. Who knows?
Dude,
no, you can't.
I can't.
You
when
can't.
we finish at like 8 at night and then
You're
go
done.
eat or go get a drink, because I've actually gone and gotten a couple of old fashions with them, it's just like you go right to bed and you wake back up and you start all over again. It's really demanding what we do.
I forgot you guys are filming till like literally 9 o'clock at night every night.
Yeah, and we're going to be on set and on location. We've got the bowling alley shoot coming up.
That'll be fun.
We've got the bar shoot coming up with a couple. We got an actor and an actress.
Cool.
Maria will be back in it.
Very nice.
So Maria will be back in. She likes being in the guide, and she's fun to work with. So
cool.
We're working our asses off, guys. I hope you enjoyed what we talked about. Definitely check out Atomos's website to check out more about what they offer and to see if it's a solution for you going forward as a videographer. I want to thank allenscamera.com. Brandon's bringing me my D3300 tonight.
Nice.
I just have to give him a check. Check out allenscamera.com for all of your camera needs. Thank Rode Microphone. So Shelly won the Rode Microphone today, so we got to send that out. I could probably just send the one that they sent me extra.
Yeah.
Unless I'll ask them what they prefer that we do, because I don't like being overbearing. I know that they like that it lands on them. That's cool. I just like being I don't know, fair.
Yeah.
But it did land on them. I did spin twice, 3 times. Took 3 times to get there, but I know she already has the flash guide. So.
But it wasn't a 3-minute spin like last week.
No, but I like 3-minute spins. And so thank you, Rode, and Steven Sutter. Thank you for your help. How much time's left?
We went over the 18-minute buffer.
You're good, as long as we end it now.
As long as we end very soon.
Well, how much time's left on my clock?
Just end it.
How much time's left on my clock?
A minute and a half.
All right, so we're going to... It better have a minute and a half.
You're fine.
All right, guys, so that's RAWtalk episode number 3. Please subscribe on iTunes, on Stitcher, wherever you get your videos, because you can download it as soon as it comes out, and it helps. So there you guys have it. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.